बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आज का हमारा जो पॉलीमर केमिस्ट्री का टॉपिक है दैट इज पॉलीमर प्रोसेसिंग। पॉलीमर प्रोसेसिंग एक बड़ा टॉपिक है बट what I will try to do here is I will try to make it as much as concise and provide you the basic concepts. पहले हम देखते हैं कि पॉलीमर प्रोसेसिंग होता क्या है। Now in the polymer processing हमने जो पॉलीमर बनाया by different methods, by different chemical reactions, so अब हमारे पास पॉलीमर अवेलेबल है। Now what we ultimately need this polymer to be utilized for some purpose. That means we should now manufacture the products. So पॉलीमर प्रोसेसिंग में बेसिकली हम करते क्या है, जो हमारे पास पॉलीमर होता है, now that polymer it needs to be finely shaped into some useful products. So we'll make useful articles out of it, useful articles out of the polymer we produced, useful articles for different purposes at home, at office, at the field and outside. So converting that polymer into the useful objects or articles, obviously they have some desired shapes with the desired shapes. Now ये जो step है that where we convert the polymeric material into the useful articles with some desired shapes for day-to-day use in different departments of the life, in different, the aspects of the life. For example, at home, at office. This is what we call as the polymer processing technology. So, polymer processing में ये भी हो सकता है कि we can convert polymer into a powder type form. That can also be included in the polymer processing. Yeah, converting polymer into the pellet. This is also the aspect of the polymer processing. So in general, there are many methods जिससे हम एक polymer को convert करते हैं into useful articles with desired shapes and sizes so that they can be utilized in day-to-day life. So there are many methods. So what I will do, I will briefly discuss here two important methods. दो main methods जो सबसे important है, I will try to focus there. Number one method that is called as compression molding. So that method is called compression molding method. Compression molding method. This is one method of polymer processing called as compression molding. Fine. Second method जो है that is extrusion method. Extrusion. So compression molding method and extrusion method. So they I will discuss here. Now, this is compression molding method जो है, इससे जो हम articles बनाते हैं from the polymer, it is usually used for thermosetting polymers. It's very important. So it's used for thermosetting polymers. Thermosetting polymers. And I have discussed it in the previous lectures what do you mean by thermosetting polymer. Likely extrusion method, it's used for thermoplastics. Those polymers which are thermoplastics, they can be processed through the extrusion method. Thermoplastics. And the thermoplastic polymers they can be processed through the extrusion method. Fine. Now, and we know thermosetting polymers, for example, we have resins like amino resins, let us say, we have phenolic resins, like bakelite phenolic resins, or we have thermosetting polymers like we have epoxides, thermosetting polymers like urea formaldehyde resin, amino resins. So these are for a few examples of thermosetting polymers which can be compressed through the which can be processed through the compression molding method. Likely in the extrusion method, thermoplastics example we have polyvinyl chloride, We have some examples like polystyrene or polyethylene. So this is some of the examples of thermoplastics which are usually processed through the extrusion method. Now, before we'll go to the basics of both these methodology, I want to compare one more point. ये जो compression molding method है, जिसे हम thermosetting polymers जो है process करते हैं, so they have major applications in. They are used to manufacture products like. So through this method we can manufacture the products like brushes जो होते हैं डेट यूज करते हैं, brush, mirror handles. We can obtain or we can manufacture the product like जो meters हमारे पास होते हैं, meter cases, उनका जो case बना होता है, they can be processed through this approach. We can use जो cooking utensils हमारे पास होते हैं, cooking utensils और cooking utensils and electrical जो appliances होते हैं, electrical utensils, so they can be processed through the compression molding method and so on. Likely जो extrusion method है, यहाँ से जो हम major products process करते हैं, for example we can manufacture the pipes, जो pipes हम देखते रहते हैं, we can manufacture the vents, wires जो हमारे यूज करते रहते हैं डे टू लाइफ में, wires, we can manufacture the ropes, we can manufacture the home appliances, so most of the appliances which we see in our homes, which we use in our homes, so home appliances, so they are the products which are processed through the extrusion method. Now I'll go straight forward to the basics of the extrusion method and some of the basics of the compression method. So now let's go towards these methods one by one. So we'll start with the compression method. Now compression method में क्या होता है, as the word suggests, there's some sort of compression. So basically this methodology, in this methodology I will try to discuss both the construction of the setup as well as the approach. In this case we use compression here. What do you mean by that? तो basically इसमें जो हमारा जो setup होता है, जो compression molding जो setup होता है, that usually contains two plates. दो plates होते हैं. मैं basics को यहाँ पे explain करने जा रहा हूँ. So one is the upper plate and the one is the lower plate. It's not that so simple, but I'm trying to make it for the for the benefit of the students. Otherwise it's not so simple. So these are the two setups. Let us say this is setup upper and this is lower. Fine. So ये दोनों movable होते हैं. We can remove this. So we can remove this case. So this is also, let's keep it. So this is your upper plate and this is your lower plate. Fine. तो जिस पॉलीमर को हमें मोल्ड करना हो या जिस पॉलीमर को हमें कन्वर्ट करना हो इनटू सम यूजफुल शेप और डिजायर्ड प्रोडक्ट, सो दैट पॉलीमर उसको हम यहाँ पे रख लेते हैं इन द फॉर्म ऑफ पाउडर. तो पाउडर ऑफ दैट पॉलीमर इज केप्ट ऑन द लोअर प्लेट. फाइन. तो जैसे हमने इसको यहाँ पे रखा हुआ, उसके बाद ये जो अपर प्लेट होता है, दिस इज प्री हीटेड. रिमेंबर दिस वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. इट्स प्री हीटेड. इट इज प्री हीटेड, यानी इट्स हॉट. सो ये ऑलरेडी गर्म होता है. सो व्हाट वी डू इज दैट वी आर पुशिंग दिस अपर प्लेट. हमने पॉलीमर यहाँ पे रखा, देन वी आर पुशिंग दिस अपर प्लेट, सो वी आर कंप्रेसिंग दिस इनसाइड. फाइन. बेसिकली इसमें थोड़े से ये स्ट्रक्चर इस तरह का भी होता है. सो आई एम नॉट डिस्कसिंग दैट. सो वी हैव दिस टाइप ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर सो दैट द अपर प्लेट विल फिट बेटर हियर. सो इस तरह का स्ट्रक्चर होता है. सो इट फिट्स इनसाइड कंप्लीटली. So it fits here, upper plate, it fits inside this. ऊपर से under high pressure, we are forcing this to go inside the lower plate. So what we do here, we are utilizing the high pressure that is around 20 to, if I remember it exactly, it's 20 to 1000 tons pressure, 1000 tons. And temperature is also very, very high. So under high pressure and temperature, so what we do, this material that gets compressed, it gets melt. अब melt भी हो रहा है heat up के साथ, ऊपर से high pressure भी है. So what it does, the material gets molded because of when the two plates they fix together. So the material gets molded and in this cavity जो हमारे यहाँ पे नीचे होती है. So what then ultimately we do is that in this process during a high temperature, high pressure process, यहाँ जो material है, यहाँ जो polymeric material है, so that gets compressed ultimately. It gets compressed. So that's one. Compression के साथ it also undergoes cross-linking. So curring of polymer, I should say, or cross-linking. So polymer undergoes cross-linking. That's why I told earlier, this compression method or compression molding method is used for thermosetting polymer. So you heat the polymer and then you convert this into a new polymer that you cannot reverse back. So it gets hardened because of the cross-linking. So it involves the cross-linking. So after that, उसके बाद ये दोनों heating state में इसको हम remove कर लेते हैं आराम से. तो that polymer has attained a definite shape. उसको हम remove कर लेते हैं. So after removing that, it is ejected and article is kept outside. जैसे हमने इसको outside रखा, then it gets cooled down and then you have a desired shape. You have final product manufactured. So this is all about a basic idea of the compression molding. Now, let's go to the extrusion method. So I'm trying to make it as simple and as concise as possible because it's not that straightforward, basically. So now, in extrusion method, as I mentioned earlier, it is used for thermoplastic polymers. The extrusion method में हमारे पास एक extruder होता है basically. तो हमारे पास जो पॉलीमर होता है वो ऑलरेडी इन द फॉर्म ऑफ ग्रैन्यूल्स या पाउडर से यहाँ पे चला जाता है एक्सट्रूडर में. सो दिस इज योर पार्ट नंबर 1 कॉल्ड एज एक्सट्रूडर. So what extruder does is it converts that polymer into the viscous melt. So extruder does, it converts the polymer into the viscous melt. Viscous, it makes the polymer solid polymer, which in the form of granules or powder, it converts this into a viscous like material, or it's called a viscous melt. Viscous material. So this is the component number 1 called as extruder. Extruder के पास क्या होता है that the polymer goes inside the die. ये बहुत important है, ये component बहुत important है. Second component of this extruder method or technology is that's a die. So what this die does, die में different shapes automatic होती है. तो polymer जब वहां से pass हो जाता है, उस polymer की वही shape होती है जो die में shape होती है. So what die actually does, it gives polymer a desired shape. So die gives polymer a desired shape. एक shape इसकी आ जाती है article की automatic यहाँ पे die में. तो die जिस तरह से हो ऐसी ही shape बन जाती है. Fine. उसके बाद die के बाद हमारा जो तीसरा component होता है that is basically called as, यानी जाता है ये polymer into a component called as sizing cooler. It's called as a sizing cooler. तो sizing cooler में क्या होता है, यहाँ पे sometimes जो die में प्रोडक्ट बन जाता है उतना क्लियर नहीं होता है, उसकी शेप में that needs some more corrections, that needs some more finishing. तो वो finishing यहाँ पे आ जाती है sizing cooler में. Fine. So it gives you I should say correct shape. तो उस प्रोडक्ट की करेक्ट शेप आ जाती है. उसके बाद यहां से जो प्रोडक्ट हमें बनता है उस प्रोडक्ट को हम बाहर निकालते हैं फोर्सफुली विद द हेल्प ऑफ एक पुली टाइप स्ट्रक्चर होता है दैट्स कॉल्ड एज पुल रोल्स। तो पुल रोल्स बेसिकली यहां से इस प्रोडक्ट को खींच लेते हैं फ्रॉम द साइजिंग कूलर। उसके बाद एट द एंड इट गोज इनसाइड ए सेटअप कॉल्ड एज द कटर। So finally we have a setup in the extrusion method that's called as a cutter. So what that cutter does is that it finally you know provides you the final product, a final desired shape of that particular polymer. That shape will be as per the die. Then finally what it does is जब यहाँ से the pull rolls they will actually they will pull that product out of this, and then finally you can obtain our final product from the cutter and then you can use it for the purpose. So ये basic setup होता है इसमें extruder में. You have an extruder that converts polymer into viscous melt, then it goes inside the die while it attains a particular shape. जिस तरह की shape आपको चाहिए, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपको पॉलीमर को पाइप स्ट्रक्चर में कन्वर्ट करना हो तो डाई अकॉर्डिंगली होती है यहाँ पे. वो डाई से उसके बाद उसकी शेप को फिनिश करने के लिए, करेक्ट करने के लिए वी हैव साइजिंग कूलर, एंड देन फ्रॉम दैट इट गोज इन, इट्स पुल्ड बाय दिस पुल रोल्स, एंड देन फाइनली द कटर यू ऑब्टेन द फाइनल shape which is now available to be utilized in the market or anywhere in day-to-day life. So this is all about the basics of the polymer processing. Basically इस टेक्नोलॉजी में और भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, लेकिन looking at our exam and the pattern, so I have tried my best to provide you the basic concepts. और इस मेथड से यूजुअली पाइप्स, वायर्स और the फिल्म्स फॉर एंड द होम अप्लायंसेस जो मैंने पहले भी कहा, इस तरह की चीजें जो है प्रोसेस की जाती है. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट द polymer processing methods. That is how you can convert a polymer into a desired shape. You can convert into a desired product so that it can be used in day-to-day life. And there are two methods, main methods. That's the compression molding method that's used for thermosetting polymers, and extrusion method that is used for the thermoplastic polymers. So this is all about the polymer processing.